I wanted to talk to you about something, but I just think that the world is so interesting right now. It's full of millennials, right? And it's like another world is this. And the millennials are very talented, but the other half is missing. And so this morning I was talking to Nick, my radio producer. Nick is 28 and Joel is 28. 25. I mean, Nick is 25, Joel 28, and Dallon 28, and Esteban, he's 23. And so I'm watching these people, I'm thinking, wow, these are young people, right? And I met a lot of millennials down in Nashville last week, and they're just kind of out there. They know how to fix things, but they don't have no sense. I mean, any sense. And I wonder, it's a whole different world out there now, right? And I'm like, wow, it's interesting to watch millennials function. They're like computers. They're just like their cell phones. And so I asked Nick this morning, how did he, what was his finding Jesus moment? Because we were talking about that Kanye West guy. He has a Christian song out or something, right? And James was telling me this morning that over 1,000 people came to Jesus under Kanye West church service yesterday or something. And so I asked Nick, what was his coming to Jesus moment? And what he said was mind-blowing. I never heard nothing like that before. Do you mind sharing that? This is Nick, my producer. And so tell them what you told me about your coming to Jesus moment.
I didn't think it was that amazing. So I'm like going through life.
He's so out there, he didn't know it was a big deal to me.
I'm just going through life thinking like everybody else. I didn't really believe in God, or I was actually kind of sure he wasn't real.
You were sure God wasn't real?
I was kind of sure. And
he's from Canada. No wonder, huh?
I grew up in, yeah.
There is no God in Canada.
No, they don't. They don't. And so I was going along with it, and I'm thinking, what's moral and what's right is what brings you pleasure, what makes you feel good. So I'm just kind of living like that. And then I see Trump run, right? And I'm like, I kind of start taking on everyone else's opinion about, oh, he's a reality show guy. Why is he going to be president? But I saw the immense amount of hate, and it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make logical sense that there was this much hate, and it made me look into it. I guess long story short, that amount of hate made me believe in Satan. It made me believe that evil was real. And when I believed that evil was real, I was like, then there has to be a God.
Isn't that amazing?
That's kind of
so Trump made
pretty much first it was a little more gradual. Like first I saw Trump run, and then I kind of looked into it, why he was being hated so much, and I was like, oh dang, I'm a conservative. And that blew my mind for a little bit. And then after seeing the hate and believing in evil, I was like, oh, there's a God, and that blew my mind.
And that's something Trump made him find God.
And then I found your videos.
Yeah. All the way in Canada was Satan's territory.
Yeah.
And before that, you said you got your value from science and logic?
Pretty much, kind of like my own head, and I kind of thought like everybody else, like what's pleasurable and what makes you feel good and what brings you happiness is what's morally correct. You know what I mean?
That's amazing to me.
Well, a lot of academics feel like that. Yeah, most people who don't believe in God think like that, actually.
What makes you feel good, bring pleasure. So you must really love pot.
That's not true. Allegedly.
Did you smoke pot?
In Canada, yeah.
That's not
Canada.
true. In Canada. And so you got your value from what made you feel good. So when you were not feeling good, did you think you were not valuable or there was no values?
You could say that. It's like, yeah, whatever brought you emotional distress, whatever didn't bring you more money, more wealth, more feel good was not right. You know what I mean? And I think most people who don't believe in God, most people who are academic, most people who think that way, believe what I believe.
Anybody else thought that way too, or think that way? You think that way?
Like logically and kind of academically.
Right.
Yeah, I think most. We talk about it all the time. I think most men are like predisposed to think that way. Like we don't get to. Yeah, well, for me personally, yeah, I always kind of went into things like with calculated, logical. It's either A or B type of thinking.
And so what made you feel good, you thought that was morally right?
It depends. It depends whatever it was making me feel good. I mean, I'm learning now, like, it doesn't matter what makes you feel good. That's kind of been my struggles. That emotions, they cloud your thinking. That's the thing. Even if it feels good, it still clouds your thinking. And that's how you kind of go down like a wrong path. So, for me personally, when I have a clearer head, like an unemotional head, I'm better off.
Yeah.
So.
I'm glad I'm black and slow. I would hate to be in that condition.
Yeah.
That's like a horrible way to live, right?
Yeah.
Wow. And so, are you better now?
I'm on the path to getting.
You overcoming it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like
Yeah.
a year ago, I would have been like, I know a couple church services ago we talked about suicide. Like that would have messed me up because I knew someone close to me that.
You were about to commit suicide?
No, I wasn't. A friend
Oh,
of
you
mine
knew
did.
someone that.
Yeah, and I remember I would go to like, they all like the professionals were like, oh, you got to go to this grief counselor, and they're hacks, by the way.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're talking about.
They don't.
They don't, and that's kind of, I think that's sort of like, and this is before I found out about you. That's where I was starting to get that thought in the back of my head, like maybe this isn't these intellectuals, these therapists, these so-called PhDs people. I don't think they go about it thinking like, oh, we have the answers to like all of our problems. They really don't. In
Yeah,
fact,
they don't.
they find a way to mess things up even more. I'm
They
realizing.
do. They make you worse, and
Yeah.
then they give you some pills to die you down.
Really,
And now you can't function.
And no, the ironic thing was, at least from my experience, my friend, they put her on like all these crazy antidepressants, and I'm convinced that was kind of what did it for her.
Yeah.
And then here they are saying, "Yo, you should try these out." I'm like, this very same thing that took my friend. You want to get me on them now?
That's
like,
right.
It's a weird. Yeah, I
So
don't know how he got to
Did
this
your
point.
friend die?
Yeah, she took her life.
She took a life?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I was counseling with a young man who was locked away, well, not locked up, but he's in a kind of a religious facility right now. And he get counseling from this therapist person. And he said that, so like I was talking to him about what was happening with him, and he told me what he had gone through, and I told him, no big deal, just stop being mad about it, you'll be fine. And I said, just forget it, don't ever talk about it anymore, be done with it. He's like, oh, thank you. He's like 15 years old, right? He said that every time he go to counseling, they make him relive that over and over and over again, and they make him cry, and he just doesn't want to deal with it anymore. He's done with it, it's over. And he was so glad that I said, forget about it, move on. And so apparently they are making money off you guys by making you relive it over and over and over again. But you're supposed to be done with this stuff and move on. But they like to see you cry. I met this woman who told me that we were at somewhere. I don't want to say, we were somewhere, way somewhere. And we were just having dinner. And she said, she had never heard of me, so somebody introduced her to me. And she said, oh, that's good you're rebuilding the man because they really need it. They're so weak. The men are so emotional, I just don't. And she's a psychologist or something like that. And I counsel with them, they're so emotional, they're so weak, I just don't know what's wrong with them. And I said, well, they're just like their mama. She's like, what do you mean? I said, their mama screwed them up so that you become like what you hate. And she said, really? I said, yeah. And I said to her, long story short, I said, look at you, you're just like your mama. She's like, what are you talking about? I said, I should see that you're insecure, you're weak, you're emotional, you have doubt, you're not a free woman. And I can tell that your mother wouldn't let you be yourself. She tried to live through you, now you could never live up to it. The woman started crying at the table. I was like, what are you crying for? She's like, you see me? How do you know that about me? Can you see that in me? I'm like, yeah, I see it really well. And she started boo-hooing. I'm like, why are you crying? Don't cry at the table. But they don't know what they're doing. They just have degrees, but they have no idea about real life. They're smart when it comes to computers, but living right, they don't know it. And it's so interesting to see that in this world today. It's like another whole world is existing, and God is not part of that world. It's so amazing to see a world where there's no God. It's like just crazy people running around. Everybody emotional, on drugs, they're antidepressant and all that kind of stuff. The one thing I want to come out of this talk right here is that you got to start questioning things. Don't just accept the okie doke. If a doctor offers you medicine saying that you're depressed, ask the doctor, why are you giving me this? What are the consequences of taking this stuff? What would happen if I do? How long would I know a couple of family members of mine they have to do that dialysis thing. And they just took the medicine. The reason they have to do it, they were taking medicine day in, day out for years, and now is it liver or kidney or whatever, is gone. And they didn't question the doctor. They just took it because the doctor said it, and now it just created another problem. You have a right to ask questions. You really do. And if they don't want to answer your question, then you know something is wrong. If the preacher don't want to answer your question, you know something's wrong. It's time to head up, move on. All right? You got to take back your life. This is crazy. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and if they don't want you to ask questions, that's the first sign something's wrong.
Yes.
And no matter what it is, you're allowed, like you could ask God if he's real and he doesn't get mad.
That's
and he'll
right,
show you
man.
it's true.
Very
So you could
good
ask
point.
anything else.
Yeah. Because once you start questioning things, then you start to see what's real. Even with yourself, get to know yourself, question yourself, and then you start to wake up. That's what gets you going. But if you just accept, no disagreement, no nothing, you're going to end up in a hole somewhere. You really are. And then you'll be dead. Amazing stuff.